I'm Reverend J. Stewart Glover, and you're listening to Faith Talk. Today I have as a special guest Doug Godkin. He is the founder of Ameo Life. And when I read from his website, it says that at Ameo Life, we are passionate about helping you achieve your ultimate health naturally. We are strong in our faith and are dedicated to providing you and your family with the most natural and effective supplementation to promote your overall wellness and vitality. So now, Doug, I would invite you to, at this time, to tell us a little bit about yourself and the great work that you do.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, we take everything that we do as far as who we are as people, and then where we approach wellness as people, realizing that we were created in God's image and likeness, and we're a gift, and this body that He gave us, or we'll call it this vessel that He gave us, is a gift as well. And we also believe that, you know, the world that He created for us was created to heal and take care of the body. The body is the healing, treating, curing machine. A lot of people think that supplementation is the route to that, but the supplementation gives the body what it needs. So when we approach wellness and we approach how we formulate supplements and how we look at supplementation in general, it's about us actually getting out of the way and realizing that there is nothing as people that we can do better than God. So when we approach ingredients, when we approach the manufacturing process, the handling process, all the steps in it, it's like, how do we protect each herb, botanical ingredient to keep it as it came from the earth? And if we can do that and we can deliver that into the body properly and efficiently, then the body's going to do what the body was intended to do, and that the body's going to heal itself. And we see today in conventional diets and conventional lifestyles that, you know, foods aren't foods anymore. Foods are substances. You know, most of them are laboratory created, and, you know, when you read the ingredients of a package of food, you know, there's nothing on there that represents food. It's chemicals and it's altered ingredients. And we see that through, you know, our foods, through our personal care products, and we see it in a lot of different health products as well. And sort of taking it back to, if we believe that we're created in God's image and likeness, we also realize that God didn't create us to have to put chemicals through our bodies and all of these nefarious things that we put into our bodies that cause illness and sickness and disease. So if we can teach ourselves to really look at the things that we're putting into our body and engaging with, and getting ourselves away from that, then we can put ourselves into a much better health condition by understanding what's making us sick in the first place. Is that all making sense?
Absolutely. You know, I like the fact that you mentioned that some of the products that are marketed as health products can be just as not good for us as well. I mean, I've heard that some of the foods that are marketed as plant-based products might even contain some of the harmful things that you're referring to.
Okay. So when we walk through the grocery store and we look at different foods on the shelves, and it has, we'll say, this trust symbol on it of, you know, healthy or diabetic friendly or sugar free, or all, you know, Weight Watchers, or all of these different kinds of, we'll say, trust symbols that people look for and say, okay, I'm buying this certain product, I'm making a healthy, conscious decision. But the unfortunate thing is, so much of that is marketing. And if somebody was to pick that product up off the counter and then flip it over and look at the nutritional facts and the ingredients of that, they'd actually quickly realize that product actually isn't healthy at all. And it's full of chemicals and different kinds of toxins and fillers in that product. So even though that they're being marketed that it is a healthy product, there's a lot of deception, let's say, in the industry of trying to get people to buy a product. And it's even when we see in facial products, let's say, both, moisturizing creams and facial products, the product will say it contains aloe or it contains hyaluronic acid or, one or two beneficial ingredients, but then it's full of alcohol and sodium benzonates and all sorts of primary ingredients that are actually detrimental to the body. So it's when the one thing I really try to help educate people on is not to buy what the product is saying on the front of the label, but to actually pick up whatever product it is and flip it over and read it. And if there's ingredients on there that you don't know or you can't pronounce, put that product down and look at the next product, because we're the only ones that can be responsible for our own health. And we can buy the books and we can look at the different health programs and everything, but at the end of the day, it becomes our personal decision and our personal journey to wellness. So the only person that can be accountable is ourselves, to ourselves. And I look at a lot of this of what's going on is it's a deception by the enemy to cause harm to our human bodies, because we know that Satan is the destroyer, and we know that Satan hates anything that God created. And for us being created in God's image and likeness, we're his people.
All right, so I appreciate, I was reading again from your website, and you say that the supplements that you are offering, they're free of chemicals, free of toxins, free of fillers, free of harmful substances. And I also appreciate the fact that you're not selling a cure for anything. Like you're not offering a cure for cancer, COVID, diabetes, heart disease, or many other ailments. You're actually saying that you're trying to get out of the way and offer these products as in the purest form as possible. So this differentiates you from the historical, back in the day, the snake oil salesman.
Definitely. I hope so.
So tell us a little bit about, well, first of all, the process. You say that you are compliance-wise, you produce all of your products in certified facilities. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, we produce everything in GMP facilities, and that's a standardization nowadays that should be a level playing field for everybody in the health space. Your third-party lab test. But one of the things that I've done is I'm trying to figure out what are more ways that I can be transparent, let's say, and not have you listening to me or your audience listening to me and saying, okay, well, that's all great, he's saying all this stuff, but where do we back that up? So one of the things that I put on our website is we've got a tab at the top of the site that says learn and then an ingredient glossary. And I'm continuing to add stuff, to our website for education, but here's the most transparent way I can be as far as, where an ingredient is sourced from. What is that ingredient? What's the EWG score, which is the Environmental Working Group score of that ingredient? And just finding more ways to be able to show our customers or somebody that's looking to be a customer of ours what we're trying to do from a transparency standpoint of, what these ingredients are, where they're sourced from, what their scores are. And, we have a goal to try and have every ingredient in there as a 1 or a 2, which is, as high a rating as you can get on a raw ingredient. And then using that in the formulations of the products, because like we were saying earlier, is if we can get those ingredients into the body as they are from the earth, then we however old we want to say the world is, we know that it's the vitamins, the minerals, and the foods, historically the foods that created the healing and created, everything happening in the body.
Mm-hmm. So, in terms of the products and the science, I see two words that jump out at me from looking at some of the products. The main one is silver. Can you tell me how that applies to your products and the benefits of what it? I have no idea what you're talking about. If you could just explain it a little bit, it could help us all.
Sure. So a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of your audience has heard of colloidal silver, and there's a lot of mixed opinions, let's say, on colloidal silver. A lot of people absolutely love it, and a lot of people are afraid of it because there's a lot of information if you go to Google that says, it can turn you blue or, have nefarious effects in the body. And to be honest with you, that is all correct information. And when you produce any kind of product incorrectly, then you're going to see the body not react to it properly. So the challenge with colloidal silver is for many, many years, people have been making it at home with equipment. And I'm not saying all equipment is bad, but there's a lot of equipment on the market that makes colloidal silver, and it makes it incorrectly with large particles. It doesn't bond it to the water molecules, and it, over time of taking it consistently, it can create that bluish graying of the skin. So when we look at silver, and what we've done differently is we've got that silver molecule down to under 100 nanometers, which is so small that you can put thousands and thousands and thousands of particles on the tip of a pen. But then what we've been able to do is we've been able to actually impregnate those silver molecules into a water molecule so that it won't break free from the body. It won't lead to the problems that colloidal silver historically had when people took it on a regular basis. And we've been doing this for many years now. This isn't something that's new and unproven. This has had a considerable amount of time in the marketplace, and it's never once had an adverse reaction with anybody. And then back to keeping things as they are in nature, we use structured water as compared to a purified or a distilled water. And water is something that we could actually talk about all day. But when we look at waters, purified waters and distilled waters are man-made waters. And they're waters that have had mineralization adapted to them. There's either steam distilled or a process in the water trying to make it better. And back to the point that we can't make anything better than occurs in nature, the best way to describe structured water would be water running down a river. It's collecting minerals as it passes by the rocks, as it goes through roots of trees. It vortexes as it gets in pools and spins around. It atomizes as it goes over waterfalls, and those water molecules explode, which create mist at the bottom of that water molecule or the bottom of a waterfall. So that is structured water. That's water in its most energetic life form there is. And that's the water that we use.
That's not the stuff we find in the baby food aisle of baby water.
No, it's not. It's not at all. That water that you find, that distilled water that you find in the baby food aisle, so that distilled water, it's pretty much the same as the foods that we were talking about earlier with, they're just substance, they're filler, but there's no nutrition to them whatsoever. Water is a living, breathing life force. And there's been numerous studies about water and just, we all know that our bodies are 80% water. We need to make sure that the water we're getting into our body is not being manipulated by man. I guess is the best way to say it. So when we look at our silver product, is we're getting that structured water, that unmanned manipulated water as an ingredient.
And why the choice of silver? What's the benefit to the body?
So silver, I'm going to say silver is God's antimicrobial. And if we look back many generations, we can look back into Egyptian history, Chinese history, many of the different, prior civilizations. Silver was very, very apparent in their daily lives. And if we look at silverware, right? Or, silver serving, why silver and not another compound? Well, ancient civilizations realized that if they served foods on silver, it didn't spoil. If they threw silver into milk vats, the milk didn't spoil. So silver has been documented to have antimicrobial properties for many, many generations. And if we look at even prior to the 1930s, silver was referenced over 100 times in the physician's desktop reference manual, which is when you go to the doctor and he's got his book on his desk, which is the physician's desktop reference manual, there was over 100 applications for silver in there. What happened is antibiotics came out in the 1930s. They were a little bit more efficient than silver, and silver kind of got pushed aside as long as a lot of other natural compounds. And the unfortunate thing that we've seen is silver and a lot of different naturally occurring compounds have kind of been demonized, I guess is the best way to say it. And it's because they can't be patented, and that's a whole other story. So, when we look at silver, silver naturally cleanses bad bacteria, yeast, fungus, and mold. So when we look at a lot of the things that are kind of wreaking havoc on the body, it's one of those things. So silver isn't a vitamin, mineral, herb, or botanical, like a lot of multivitamins and different supplements. And then here, let's just take it one step further for a second, because this just shows the brilliance of our Creator. Everybody's heard of the periodic table of elements, and I'd say pretty much all of us learned about that in elementary school. So silver, which is Ag on the periodic table of elements, is actually the only compound that's missing an electron, and God created it this way. So when we look at zinc, and when we look at silver, and when we look at gold, and we look at copper, and we look at all of these different compounds that have been, and people still use today in their wellness regimens, silver plays a very unique, different role from all of them, whereas it's the only one that's missing an electron. So why does that matter, and why does it play any role in wellness?
That was my next question.
Perfect. So what it does is it's constantly giving and receiving electrons. So when we look at a bacteria, when we look at a yeast, a fungus, or a mold, they're all cellular structures. So what silver is able to do, and it does it differently than anything else, is it's able to steal its electrical membrane, causing it to rupture. So we've heard that there's a lot of different products that are antimicrobials, and people take many different things. So silver plays a really unique role where it actually doesn't have to go through the digestive system. It doesn't metabolize in the body. So when people have digestive issues, and pretty much everybody in this day and age, are suffering from digestive issues, silver is able to bypass the digestive system, meaning it's not going to put any workload on the digestive system. It's not going to put any workload on the immune system. It's actually going to help complement the immune system and to, in essence, we'll say partner up with the immune system to go through, clean, cleanse, and help the body heal itself naturally, but getting away from the things that are wreaking havoc on the body at that same time. So I look at silver as the first line of defense to help support our immune system, and our first line of defense to help support our digestive system and keep our body healthy on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. And how about the probiotic ingredients?
So with the probiotic, we took a completely different approach with probiotics. And there's actually a patent on that probiotic, that it's the longest lasting probiotic to survive in the digestive system. And there's different papers and research on that we're happy to share with people. But we also added inulin, slippery elm, turmeric fiber, and aloe.
Okay.
So with the probiotic, we added inulin, slippery elm, turmeric fiber, and aloe to it. So not only are we helping replenish the beneficial digestive enzymes, but we're also helping to pull toxins out of the body and get the bowels moving properly. So many people nowadays are bunged up and they're just not, going to the bathroom as often as they should. And so what we want to do is we want to lubricate the bowels. We want to help pull the things out of the body and get the body moving. And that, I'd say in most cases is going to help people feel a lot better by just getting the body once again doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, Doug, how about you tell us what type of products you're offering and where they can be found or obtained?
We're at www.ameolife.com, and I've got a phone number here as well for people that would rather phone, and that phone number is 1-800-422-8148. That number again, 1-800-422-8148. And we're here to serve. We're here to serve our customers. We're here to help. There's a variety of different promotion codes we always have for our customers that phone in and taking care of people. And we realize right now that, there's a lot of families out there that are struggling, and we want to be there, to help these families. I don't believe that health should be something that caters to, a certain demographic of people or a certain income level. I think all of us, no matter where we're at, should have the ability to be healthy and live a vibrant lifestyle. And God's put us here to serve Him with this business and these products. And it's our prayer every day that, just help us to open the doors, let us use this as a ministry, and let us be a servant to the people to help them where they're at.
Well, we are grateful for that. I have a last question for you, which would be this. If somebody visits your website and they see, I'm not sure of how many different products are available, and they're not really informed as to what to try first or why. So let's say it's like going in a supermarket and there's 50 different types of cereals. Which one do I get? So how could somebody who's just, let's say, experimenting with the use of your product, what's the recommended entry level of use of these supplements?
So if I was tire kicking us and looking in from the outside, and I was like, okay, what's the best bang for my buck, and what's what am I going to feel the best with? Personally, I would go with the silver or the fulvic trace minerals, the fulvic mineral solution. I'm out of stock on it right now. I'll have it back again next week. It's gone. It's been a very, very well received product. So the silver, the fulvic, the probiotic would be my three flagships, let's say. And then, for anyone that has, like a skin irritation or something with their skin, the gels work great along with the soaps. We're coming into the sniffles season, let's say, the silver nasal spray is really good. And we've had a lot of customers that live in areas that have been, heavily covered in smoke from the fires over the summer, and a lot of, respiratory and nasal conditions with that. So that's a nice way to clear the passages there as well.
You mentioned skin irritations. Would that include, is there any benefit for someone that's suffering with eczema? A lot of children nowadays are suffering with eczema.
Yeah, the gel and the soap are really good to use in that situation, as well as the silver and the fulvic are really good for the digestive side of things. And a lot of people don't realize that eczema and in many cases acne and a lot of these different skin conditions are primarily a digestive condition first and foremost. And I'm sure a lot of people that are listening have heard of a condition called leaky gut syndrome. And that's
Right.
when the pores of the digestive system open up and leach toxins through the body, and those toxins get trapped in the skin and then, cause different skin irritations. So I like to look at approaching skin conditions, let's say from an inside out. And if we can really help clean up the digestive system, as well as working on the skin topically with products that don't have any chemicals, we see some really, really amazing stories from people that were stuck for a lot of years thinking that, that it was something that they were going to have to live with for a long period of time, and seeing, their skin recovering. And like I say, once again, it's not the supplements that are healing the body, it's the supplements giving the body what the body needs to heal itself.
Amen. Doug, I want to thank you for coming in today. Doug Godkin is the founder of Ameo Life, and they are offering supplements to bring you into a place to help you bring you into a place of wellness. You're listening to Faith Talk. I'm Reverend J. Stewart Glover. I would encourage you to reach out to Doug's company, Ameo Life, and explore their products and take wise counsel to the recommendations that he's made as far as experimenting or just tire kicking, as he put it, with their products. I would also ask you to visit the website of www.reverendjstewartglover.com, where you can sign up to be a recipient on a mailing list, or even register as a guest on an upcoming episode. Doug, thank you so much for coming in. And I pray that someone along the line is impacted in a way that leads them to an appropriate response in terms of caring for themselves. We need to love ourselves and take care of ourselves in these toxic days that we're living in. So, Doug, thanks for coming in, and God bless you.
Thank you for having us.